If I were starting my silver stack today in 2025, I'd do it a little bit differently and smarter this time around. While the markets may be ever changing, the concept of stacking silver has not. And by the end of this video, I hope you'll know more than I did about starting off as a new stacker and some of the things that I would actually completely avoid. Let's break everything down here. Hi everybody and welcome back to yet another video. Before we get started, I just wanted to remind everyone about the 500 subscriber giveaway / live stream that we're going to be doing soon. If you want to participate in that giveaway, you'll need to subscribe to my channel and be in that live stream to win. I'll be sure to let you know more details about when that will be and everything else, so stay tuned for that. But with that being said, let's get back to the video. So let's talk about why silver still makes sense and why you should own it. Silver is a real physical asset that has perceived value to it. It's still affordable for beginners and yet powerful enough for seasoned investors seeking a hedge against inflation, currency debasement, and any sort of market volatility. It has a dual role that plays both money and an industrial metal, which gives it a unique edge in that regard. But with the current spot price of around $32 an ounce, it's still an affordable and reasonable price option for people to get into it today. Now, there might be some of you out there who think that they missed out and that they're behind the curve, but the truth is you're really not. And with silver still being undervalued and below its all-time high of around $50, more and more each day people are waking up to the role that it plays in preserving their wealth. Now, if I were to start today, there are some mistakes you should avoid, and I want to mention some of the more common ones, some of which I've actually done myself when I first got started, and I'll show you an example of that later. So the first mistake is overpaying for premiums blindly. And I want to emphasize the word blindly because while there's nothing wrong with paying a premium for a coin, in my opinion, if you're interested in it, just disregarding the premium completely and paying for something just because it's available and because you want it, that can actually hurt you in the long run. And the effect you'll feel on that is the opportunity cost. If you spend a lot on the premiums, you could have used the extra money you paid for that coin to perhaps get more coins that carried a lower premium. Here's an example of what that looks like. We're going to go borrow SD Bullion's page for this, and I want to show you two of the most common purchases that you will probably see or even do. And the first is with the American Silver Eagle. If you were to buy a tube of them, and each tube comes with 20 coins, you would spend $38.38 for those coins. So if we look at the total of that, that's going to come out to $767.60. Now, if you were to do the Buffalo rounds for the same amount of 20, because again, another tube comes with 20, you'll spend $34.58, and that'll come out to $691.60. And if you subtract the $767.60 that you paid on the American Silver Eagles, that results in a $76 difference that you would pay on premiums alone for the American Silver Eagle. Now, if you were to spend all that $767.60 on these Buffalo rounds, you could technically get an extra 2, because the extra 76, if we divide it by the 3508, you could technically get 2 extra rounds of silver just by buying the low premium Buffalo rounds instead. Now, here's an example of how I overspent on premiums back in 2021 when I first got started. I bought 10 Silver Eagles for $39.86 an ounce, which is practically the same as what it's going for today. But the difference is the spot price. Back then, it was $26.30 an ounce, which was a $13.56 premium per coin, or a 52% markup on them. Something I would definitely never do again, knowing what I know now. And I know the ones in the comments who were completely against any premiums on the American Silver Eagles are probably losing their minds right now hearing this, but hey, this is how I got started, and this was a mistake that I made and that I have now learned from. The second mistake that new stackers will make is chasing a hype coin, something that's got a high premium or a flashy piece to it without a real stacking strategy. kind of like the Germania round that you see here on the top right. You'll end up paying way more per ounce and getting, again, fewer ounces in total, which can hurt you in the long term when it comes time to sell or trade them back. Which, again, essentially is the same point as the first mistake, but these items wouldn't be things that you would typically stack. They're more of a appreciation, kind of like a collector's item, I guess, if you will. Not necessarily numismatic, but just something that has an artistic feel to it. But, like the American Silver Eagles, they can carry high premiums, but the American Silver Eagles would be things that I would stack, in my opinion. But again, the underlying factor here is the premiums that you can pay with them. So what would I have done instead? Well, I did make the right choice in going for the government bullion, but the private rounds and bars are also a good choice. Getting buffalo rounds such as these are going to be the best introductory form of silver for new stackers to start with. They generally carry some of the lowest premiums, and they'll help you appreciate your purchases a little bit more and the stack without breaking the bank too harshly. Now, a side note that one thing to consider is the higher in weight that you go, the less premiums that you will typically pay for. Now, I'm going to show you an example of what that can look like here. So after these buffalo rounds, I've got a couple of 10-ounce bars that I'm going to show you here, and these 10-ounce bars are going to be cheaper in premium than a 1-ounce coin. And if I were to purchase a kilo of silver, that kilo would be cheaper in premium than these 10-ounce bars. So, but again, that might be a video for another time. And depending on your available income to make any purchases, some items can be out of reach, and you're going to be kind of forced to pay the higher premiums of the 1-ounce rounds simply because the price of a kilo can be out of your price range. But again, when it comes to getting started, the generic rounds are going to be the best option to start with. Another thing you should consider to offset any premiums or losses is to dollar cost average. Another potential mistake as well, mind you, that some people may just back the truck up and buy everything all at once. Those who did that back when silver was $50 an ounce still have yet to recover those losses or see any gains for that matter. Had they just dollar cost average instead, depending on the quantity that they purchased, they could have lessened the burden on the losses that they incurred. I personally set aside whatever I have left each month to purchase some silver, and any extra money that I get along the way also goes into it. Now, depending on your situation, you'll figure out what works best for you when you're budgeting for it. But again, depending on your situation, $35 can at least get you started, and 1 ounce of silver per month is better than nothing. So the big question now is, well, what am I doing? Well, I still buy each month regardless of what the price of silver does. I'm sticking to the dollar cost average method that I mentioned a second ago, and I'm trying to buy what I can. I came up with this idea recently that I have a budgeted amount of what I'm able to spend, and I'm kind of splitting it into 2 different purchases on a bi-weekly schedule. So I will look on the first one, I will look online either at SD Bullion, JM Bullion, etc., and see who has the best deals. I like to purchase from them and want to continue supporting them. And then the second purchase, the second bi-weekly one, will go to my local coin shop and see what they have, because of course I want to support them as well. And more or less, the online retailers are going to give me the best premium deal. That's what I'm searching for with them. And my local coin shop is going to help me with filling my monster boxes that I'm building towards. So that's just how I do it. It doesn't mean that you should do it that way or that it's even correct for that matter. It's just my strategy to support the dealers that I trust and find good deals at the same time. And if you can tell on the table here, it's basically a combination of American Silver Eagles, Buffalo Rounds, and bars. That is essentially the essence of my stack, and I probably won't deviate much from that unless premiums become absurd again. And you're gonna have goals that you'll want to accomplish, but just remember to be smart about it. The best thing you can do is actually just to get started. You'll start to figure out what works best for you over time. And silver can still become more expensive, but I think it's still a solid play if you go into it with a strategy in mind. That being said, if you guys were starting your stack today, what would be the one thing that you would do differently? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye, guys.